कुमार स्वामी नायक गोंगो लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
Yanavanaka Fiji in this bulletin, deferred loan repayment accruing interest. FRA says increased budget is welcomed. And NGOs calls on the correction services for equal treatment of inmates.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
Businesses and individuals who have been deferring loan payments are at a risk of ending up paying more later on. The Association of Banks says while there are initiatives and packages to cushion the impact of COVID-19, prolonging non-payment means debtors will have a bigger financial burden in the end. Association President Saad Minam says deferment is temporary relief and interest will continue to accrue. Koroi Tandalala reports.
Banks are urging customers who can to continue their loan repayments because interest has been accumulating for 4 months now.
For everyone to understand exactly that at the end of the day, banks will charge interest and banks will ask the customers to pay back the principal amount as well. And these interests are going to be accrued, and then after the 6 months, it will be added to the overall loan. So there is no holiday.
If you also look at commercial bank lending rate in Fiji and compared with 100 developing countries, our interest rates in Fiji are at the bottom 10%.
The banks are now owed $3.4 billion in deferred payments accumulated since the soft repayment initiative was introduced. This amount is likely to balloon even higher, with banks indicating that more businesses and average Fijians are holding back payments.
Look at commercial bank lending, it's again creeping up. Yes, there's a sharp fall compared to a year ago, but it's increasing slowly, at least marginally from April and May.
If you have an opportunity and you have the capability to make sure that you make the payment for your interest and principal, please do that. If not, if you want to defer your principal amount, please do that and continue to make the interest, because at the end, it's going to cost you a little bit more on that part.
Bank real interest rates needs to be reduced. I mean, RBF has done its part, and by reducing the overnight borrowing rate, and the savings rate they give to the customers is very low. So their margin is quite, significant there. I'm sure at this time, I think banks really have to move up.
The Association of Banks has agreed on a case-by-case basis to extend loan deferments until the end of the year to help families and business still bearing the worst of this economic fallout. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
Fiji Roads Authority says the increase in its budget allocation for the next financial year is encouraging. Chief Executive Jonathan Moore says allocation shows that their work is recognised as the FRA continues to better road networks throughout Fiji. The FRA has money for ongoing maintenance of roads and the rehabilitation of fixing of poor networks for the next 12 months. Even with revenue constraints due to COVID-19, the government has been able to increase the budget allocation to the Fiji Roads Authority by $72.4 million. FRA has been allocated $348.9 million in the next budget.
The allocation for the maintenance budget is good. We can work with that and we can make sure the roads are maintained in a safe condition. But there's also a separate allocation now for rehabs and renewals, which is really important to us because that gives us longevity and it gives us the sustainability of the work that we do.
Women's rights groups want the Fiji Corrections Service to reconsider their rehabilitation program when it comes to sex offenders, especially those who had been involved in sports. The Fiji Women's Crisis Centre and the Fiji Women's Rights Movement have tabled a petition calling on the FCS to follow the legal procedures and protocols of the rehabilitation program. The NGOs are calling on the corrections services to provide equal treatment to all inmates, regardless of their status in society. The issue came up after former Fiji Sevens player Aminoni Nasilasila was seen in training. The women's group say under current policy, he must serve at least 12 months before the earliest possible release dates, before any sort of partial release is granted.
We have seen the rehabilitation policy. It's on their website. And according to that, sex offenders should be kept in maximum prison and they do not have any special privileges.
FRA Chief Executive John O'Connor says the participation of inmates in sports is part of the Corrections Service's rehabilitation program that has been ongoing for many years. The NGO petition has been sent to the Fiji Rugby Union, their major sponsors, affiliated unions and various government ministers. A $430 million budget support package has been approved by the Asian Development Bank to help the government with its COVID-19 response. The regional director, Masayuki Tachiri, says the focus is on the private sector as it drives the economy. Tachiri says the multi-million-dollar package is meant to stimulate private sector activity to get it up and running again. He says getting up a firm foundation to help the recovery of our economy is crucial.
That is obviously support the government COVID response, but also the underlying support for the policy change to have a better environment for the business, investment, and also the starting up the new business.
With the increase in budget allocation, the Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation will ensure that there is transparency and policy revision in each department in terms of registering beneficiary applications. This was confirmed by the Minister for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation, Meriseni Vuniwanga. The Ministry of Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation has been allocated a total of $159 million for the next financial year. She says the ministry has a standard operating procedure in an attempt to make sure money is going to the right people.
We're currently revising our policies around social protection in Fiji to make sure that they make sense and to make sure that the benefits are going to people who are actually registered in the ministry.
People in Fiji and other island nations in the Southwest Pacific will have months more to prepare for tropical cyclones. This comes after the publishing of a new tropical cyclone forecast outlook model. University of Newcastle scientist Dr. Andrew McGee says the new model could improve early warnings, support advanced disaster management preparedness, and save lives during the Southwest Pacific tropical cyclone season. Developed by a team of climate scientists from the University of Newcastle and the National Institute for Water and Atmospheric Research in New Zealand, Dr. McGee says the model will generate predictions for the number of tropical cyclones at an individual country level, up to 4 months before the start of the tropical cyclone season.
It's very important to note that the information that we provide does not and should not replace the advice offered by the Fiji Meteorological Service, but it offers us another tool in our tool belt with which to assist with decision making in the months before the start of the cyclone season.
Up ahead, Nandronga all set for Suva. And VPL match today vital for both teams.
हाय हम शारा प्रकाश बात करते हैं अक्तावा में मिर्ची एफएम सबको सुने एंड मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट
मिर्ची एफएम इट्स हॉट
The Nandronga rugby team is expecting a physical and fast-paced game against Suva during their double-header clash this Saturday. The Stallions will be hosting the capital city side in their opening Skipper Cup match and also the first Fairbrother Challenge. Felipe Naikaso has more.
The loss to Suva during the Skipper Cup final last year is still fresh in the Stallions camp as they know the intensity the Suva side brings to any match.
Suva is a hard team to beat, and we've discussed it with the boys, and we know the importance of this game, as Suva will be coming in with lots of big names.
Like other teams, Nandronga's preparations was also disrupted due to the coronavirus. However, the side has made use of the past few weeks as they aim for a good start to the local rugby season. Players have been reminded that getting a win this Saturday will lay the platform for them.
We want to keep the Fairbrother Trophy this Saturday and also get that 5 points for the Skipper Cup. So it's a crucial match.
Nandronga battles Suva on Saturday at Lawanga Park in Singatoka at 3 p.m. The match will be aired live and exclusive on FBC Sports channel on the Walesi platform. Philippe Naikaso, FBC Sports.
Ball control and support play are two areas the Nandi football team have been working before they play Bar in their Western Derby of the Vodafone Premier League today. Head coach Kamal Swami believes both teams have the same struggles at the moment. Aquila Vama with the details.
The recovery time may not be enough for Nandi after facing Lambasa at Subrail Park over the weekend.
We traveled to Lambasa and then we came back from there, and then we are training 2 days. And traveling is another hectic thing. So,
however, Nandi's opponent today have their own worries after a day of recovery.
We play a match and there is only 2 days rest. 1 day after the match is just recovery, and then we are up for the next match. So we did our injury assessment. Most of our senior boys are carrying injury, but they had to play.
Having lost to Lambasa 1-0 over the weekend, Nandi coach Swami says despite the short turnaround time, they will need to rise against Mba, who also suffered a shock 2-0 defeat to Nesinu. Nandi will host Mba at Prince Charles Park today at 6 p.m. Aquila Vama, FBC Sports.
Cristiano Ronaldo became the first player to score 50 goals in Serie A, La Liga and the Premier League as his double yesterday against Lazio put Juventus on the brink of the Serie A title. Juventus are 8 points clear of the Inter Milan and need 4 points to clinch a 9th consecutive title. Quick look at today's weather. It is Wednesday, the 22nd of July. Expect occasional showers and a few thunderstorms over the western parts of Viti Levu, Yasawa and Mamanuva Group, Kandavo and nearby smaller islands, and southern Lao Group. Showers and thunderstorms gradually easing from the west from midday today. And that is your FBC Morning News. Join us at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. for our major bulletin. Remember, in times of crisis, you need factual news that you can trust. Stop believing fake news about the COVID-19 on social media. Fight misinformation by getting only the facts about the coronavirus from verified news sources like FBC's TV, radio and digital media news. www.fbcnews.com.fj. Keeping Fijians connected with the truth.
Hi, I'm Ini from Raki Raki. I love Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.